Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 13th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about arrays in PHP. So I have a file opened up in my text editor. It's called arrays.php, and I have some PHP code in it between the opening and closing PHP tags on lines 6 and 16 respectively. And the code is actually pretty simple. If you've programmed in other languages and if you've used arrays before, then you know the concept of arrays in other languages is the same as it is in PHP. And you create arrays using the array keyword in PHP. But before we check out how to create arrays and how we can fetch values out of arrays, let's first understand what an array is. So an array is a collection of memory locations wherein you have different values at different memory locations, and you can also have values of different kind. So if you create a normal variable, you can have a string value in it at one time, and you can have a numeric value in it in another time, but simultaneously it's not possible for you to have two different values in the same variable. Now in an array, that problem is solved because you sort of reserve for yourself a set of memory locations, and in those memory locations you can have different values. So you can have fractional values in it, you can have string values in it, you can also have plain simple integer values in it. And the places where arrays are useful are, let's say you want to store the scores of 15 students in a test. Now you would want to access scores using the same variable name like scores, but you would still want to store different values in it. And let's say some people have got 90 out of 100, so you would want to store 90 as a whole number, and some people have got 99.58, so you would want to store that as a fractional value. So arrays offer you that flexibility. And in C, for instance, you cannot do this. In C you have arrays of one data type, so all values have to be of the same data type, whereas in PHP it's possible for you to have different values. So I have created an array, as I said, using the array function, and I have given it the name ARR, and I have used a dollar sign here. You still need to do that because we're still creating a variable, and then you have to type in your values within a set of parentheses. So I have typed in 15 as the first value, 10 as the second, 85.78, which is a fractional value, as the third, and then Jim as the fourth and Peter as the fifth. And these two values are string values, so that's why I have enclosed them within double quotes. Then there is the closing parentheses and the semicolon to terminate the statement. So this is going to create my variable, and if I want to fetch out values out of this variable, it's very simple. I have used the echo statement on lines 8 and 9, and I have passed in the index positions of the values that I want to fetch out. So one thing to keep in mind here is that the index position of the first element in any array in PHP is 0. So if suppose you want to fetch out 85.78, then you need to pass in 2 and not 3, as despite the fact that it's the third value in the array, but the index position of 85.78 is 2, because the index position of 15 is 0, the index position of the second element, which is 10, is 1, and 85.78 is 2, and the index position of Jim is 3, and the index position of Peter is 4, right? So if you want to get 15, you'll have to type in ARR, and then within square brackets you have to mention your index position, right? So echo, then the name of the variable, which is $ARR, within square brackets. For Jim you will type in 3, and for 15 you will type in 0. So let's check out the output of this file and compare it with whatever we've discussed till now. I look for arrays.php, and we see Jim as the value returned to us in the first line, and 15 the value returned to us in the second line, right? And now let's say you want to change the value of the second element in the array, right? You want to change the value at the index position 1. You want to change it to 15 from 10. It's very simple. I have commented out this code, and I'm going to get rid of the comments, so it's going to be a valid statement. Save the file and refresh it. And by the way, I have an echo statement on line number 11 that's going to display the value that's there at index position 1. So if I didn't have a comment, then I would see 25. If I had a comment, then I'm sure that the output here is 10, right? So this 10 is going to be replaced with 25 here, and that's how simple it is to update values in arrays, right? And then I have the print_r function, which is again used to display values, but it gives you some information. So it tells you the index position and it tells you the values, right? So that's the output of the print r function. You would see that we first see array here, you know, the type of variable. Then we see that at the index position 0 we have 15, at index position 1 we have 25, at 2 we have 85.78, at 3 we have Jim, and at 4 we have Peter, right? The next thing that we've done is we have created another array, but this one is created in a special way. So you have an array within an array, right? So you have 8, 10, 15 as 3 elements, the first 3 elements, and then you have another array as the 4th element to the array myarr, right? So the elements of this array are 19, 23, 28, and 30. Now let's say you want to fetch out 23 from this array. So the way you're going to do that is by typing in 3 first, because that's the index position of this entire array within the array myarr, and that's because 8 has the index position 0, 10 has the index position 1, 15 has the index position 2, and then within this array the number 23 has the index position 1, because the index of 19 is 0 and 23 is 1. So you'll have to use 2 sets of square brackets here. You'll first type in the name of your array, which is myarr, then within the first pair of square brackets you will type in the index position of the entire array, which is 3, and then you will type in the index position of the number that you want to fetch out, which is 23, in another set of square brackets, and this one has to follow the first set, right? And the output shows 23 here because that's what we wanted to get. And lastly, if I use the print underscore r function here, then the output that we see is, we see 8 at index 0, we see 10 at index 1, we see 15 at index 2, and then it tells us that at index position 3 we have an entire array, and then within that array it tells us that we have 19 at index 0, 23 at index 1, and 28 at index 2, and 30 at index 3. So the print underscore r function is actually very useful, and I'm not saying that you have to use it whenever you use arrays as a replacement to echo, but sometimes when you've got lots of things going on within your arrays, you know, like each element is an array, for instance, you know, it makes sense to use the print underscore r function, and you know, it makes even more sense if you use it with the pre-tags in HTML, and we could check that out later on in this course maybe. But for the time being, this is all you need to know about arrays, and we're going to check out more tutorials. In the next tutorial we're probably going to look at associative arrays, and then we're going to check out some array functions too. And arrays, as I said earlier, offer you a lot of flexibility, and you can do a lot of different kind of things with arrays, and you know, the usefulness of arrays is amplified, you know, when you use them with loops, and that's again something that we're going to discuss in future. And I hope you had fun watching this tutorial, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.